about a divergent view about what is and makes the future of Israel most secure. Also, I didn't mention, indicate that we represent, and we know in our community that there's a diversity of opinion amongst the Jewish community, and she shouldn't assume that there's one voice.
Mm-hmm. So emphasize. So while I'm writing, maybe the
Alex Panico. I've done this sort of thing just a handful of times, a couple of times for issues related to Iran and also on environmental concerns.
Did you say who your rep was?
I'm sorry, Maryland Senator Elijah Cummings, who has a so-so. So I think the big note is probably not to assume that the person I'm meeting with has a burning interest in me beyond what I represent. It is not to just chat and to do my homework and know precisely what I want to say in the limited amount of time that I have.
So keep short, or keep meetings short?
To the point.
Mm-hmm.
We can always talk more if the person's interested in talking, but I don't want to leave without having said what I wanted to say.
I'm Wanda Dodson, and I'm from Kentucky, and both of my senators, McConnell and Bunning, are often in the news. And my representative is Harold Rogers from the 5th District. I went to high school with him, so I have a personal relationship going back for many, many years, and I see him when he's home, and I found talking to him at the local level is very, very important, and I think Rebecca emphasized that this morning.
So meet with rep in the district.
Yeah, when he comes home.
Okay. And his position,
and
did you say?
Something not to do is not to make enemies with the local staff. You want to keep them on your good side so that you know when he's coming and when he may have some time available.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be very important allies. And now he has a web email that he sends once a week, a summary of what he's doing and issues, and actually asks for input. So, but he's up for election this year too.
Sadia, we have a group called Maryland for Peace and Justice in Israel and Palestine, which was formed after this advocacy training last year. And our Maryland senators are Mikulski and Cardin, and the representative is Van Hollen. They've all been sympathetic toward the humanitarian issue mostly. And in my experience, the don't would be like, don't get into protracted back and forth arguments because they tend to not go anywhere. And the do is probably to follow up in the most personal way, like a phone call.
Okay. Next person.
My name's Janet. I'm from the 25th District, New York. Representative is Dan Fay. Senators are Kristen Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer. They all have about a -2 on the Israeli on that little site there. I've had very limited experience with lobbying. I worked with the HRC on the Marriage Equality Act. It's the most recent work I've done, and I think a do is to, again, follow up with phone calls and try to get other people to call. It's something I'm doing with my own organization. And Syracuse is trying to get weekly phone calls into the reps to let them know that we're watching the issue and that we care.
Yeah, my name is Paul Norsey. I'm from the Virginia 8th Congressional District, Congressman Jim Moran, and our senators are Jim Webb and Mark Warner. I think for dues, I think it's important for us to be involved in their campaigns and be involved with them. other things in direct advocacy. Advocacy is very critical, but you have to kind of build up a relationship to make your advocacy more effective, I think. What I wouldn't do is I'd try to avoid being too adversarial. We can't agree with everybody all the time, but I think if we focus on the positive and try to move things in a positive direction, that tends to be the most productive.
I'm so can you just say the last phrase again?
I guess try not to be too adversarial and focus on areas where you can have a positive impact. That's a do and a don't, I guess.
Yeah, you guys don't produce. How's your printing? Oh, well. That's not good. Next person. Yeah.
So my name's Jennifer Kuiper, and I'm from the 9th District of California, which is Representative Barbara Lee, and our senators are Senators Feinstein and Boxer. Boxer's up for re-election this year. I am not representing a group, but I'm doing work with 3D Security Initiative, which is a program at Eastern Mennonite University, and we're starting an educational outreach to staff, congressional staff, and putting together speakers for staff-only briefings that are focusing on this particular issue. And the do's and don'ts, I've been asking myself that question because last year, around this time, I met with 35 offices in 2 weeks. And so obviously they weren't my representatives. And they started as 15-minute appointments and they went for an hour. So I have been asking myself why they would have wanted to do that. So the things I'm thinking from do's and don'ts might be around the personal experience, being able to provide eyewitness accounts. To the extent that you're able to do that, I think that's valuable for staff, and the people who are staff can maybe speak to that better than I can. But that seemed to make a difference for people to be prepared and really have done your homework so that when they do ask questions, to the extent that you can either answer them accurately or know where you can quickly get that correct information, and your sources, really know your sources also. And look at things like the UN website, Oxfam's reports, those that are not seen as much as advocacy organizations, but pull your facts and figures from the U.S. Department of Defense. I think that from a staff perspective is something that's more usable, and that all also relates to being compassionate with staff. I cannot believe that they can do any of the work that they do. The demands on them are so huge. So these one-page summaries are really key to everything, and only taking 15 minutes. If they want you to continue, then stay. Don't say, I gotta go. It's been 15 minutes and I'm out of here. But I think really having compassion, no matter what that particular staff or how they represent the views or what that representative may view, to really be compassionate with them and their job and what they're being asked to do, and where they're at. How much they understand this issue or don't understand this issue, and seeing them as a potential partner, even if they don't seem that way now, I think is helpful.
My name is Mohammed. I recently moved here from Minneapolis to the DC area. I'm not part of an organization or represent anybody, but I'm an intern on the Hill, actually. And so I have a ton of experience, kind of just the do's and don'ts of how to kind of get your message across, and kind of echoing some of the things that have been said already. Is be concise in what you're saying. Be, don't ramble on for a long time if you're going to call, because it basically is like a check mark on a computer screen. But and also when it comes to sending in letters, make sure it's typed out, neatly folded, look professional, and kind of let the person who you're sending it to know that this is who I am representing. This is what my views on the issue are, and then try to set up a meeting and to kind of further the opinion or your kind of sentiment from there. And yeah, I think that's it. I think a lot of the do's and don'ts up right now are pretty spot on.
So Mike, I think you may have missed what we're doing. Name? Did you catch it? Name, state, reps?